Alrighty, well, good afternoon. I guess if it is noon by now, I'll give my intro. My name is Eunice Gomez. I work for Vanguard, as you can tell. I've been with the company now for going on 5 years. So in May will be my fifth year graduation, if you will. I am a university relations specialist. So what that long title means is I work with multiple universities and build relationships. These type of presentations are really what I enjoy the most when it comes to resume writing, career fairs, interviewing skills. I love connecting with students and be able to kind of share some of the best practices that we see on campus and helping you guys get really prepare yourselves or hone on your skill set to be fully successful when you come to a career fair, because it is kind of a interesting setup and you could be a little awkward, to be quite honest at times. Do you want to go
Yeah, I'm Scott Barron. I work here at ASU in the career services area, and we work with students all the time, students and alums, to help connect you to your future and kind of what types of career opportunities are going to be available to you, how to make the most out of those opportunities, and how to really market yourself in the most appealing way. And one of the ways that happens is certainly at career fairs. So very important and timely topic for you.
Absolutely. So by a show of hands, thank you very much, Scott. How many of you guys are coming to the career fair next week? Everyone raise your hand. Yeah. Even if you have 2 years, 3 years to graduate, or it's your first semester, I always tell people, come and get practice, because practice makes perfect, right? I remember we're going to talk about this in just a moment, but my first career fair, I walked in and you feel like all the employers are looking at you and you just don't know what to do because you haven't been there before. So you don't know what to expect. So having these type of presentations and making yourself a little uncomfortable at times, going to the career fair and shaking some hands, practicing your elevator pitch there, makes you be prepared. So when the time comes, you're looking for that internship or full-time position, boom, you're ready to go. You're a pro at this. So we're going to go over some pointers here. I want this presentation to be very interactive. It's very boring for you guys to just have a presenter, just having a PowerPoint, just talking to you guys, because you probably see that in classes all the time. And also, quite honestly, for the presenter as well, we want to have a conversation. So feel free to raise your hand at any time. You have any questions, just stop me. I can talk a lot. I think that's why they hired me for this job. So feel free to raise your hand and ask us any questions. Scott and I, okay? But just to give you an idea what we're going to be going over today, we did our intros already, check. Resumes and cover letters, right? Isn't that an interesting topic? Research the company. How many of you guys have heard that before? Research. That's all we hear, but it's really important. What to bring to the career fair, impressions, and how do you approach an employer? And then how do you follow up, and what is ethical and what's appropriate to do with employers? Does that look okay to you guys? Ready to get started? Okay, so I'm going to show you here of a resume that we've seen on campus before. It's kind of a really great resume, quite honestly. What do you guys feel about this? Looks good? There's a lot of information on that resume, don't you think? It's a little overwhelming?
It's hard to read.
It's hard to read, yeah. Well, first of all, because it's on a screen and you're kind of distant, so I agree with you. The reason we have it up here is because this person had so much information, but they organized it really well. There's a lot of white space in between. So believe it or not, although there's so much, it can be hard to read the font. Actually, when it was outside, it was a very small font, but it was still easy for us to read, which was really nice. But I'm going to highlight a few things. We'll talk about your resumes and see what questions you have about that. This person has their education, have their education. Looks a little overwhelming because there's 2 schools that they listed. So if you have one school, ASU is your only school, awesome. You can eliminate that immediately and you have more white space. And then they go into experiences, right? They make it organized. They have the name of the company, a few bullet points, a talk about their experience at that particular job. And it's all very consistent. Company, title, experience. Company, title, experience. Company, title, experience. Now, actually, he does not have his title here. Just notice that today. Notice how the bullet points tend to remain in the same number, right? You don't want to have one bullet point and then 5 and then 2. try to maintain consistency. That's key when you're writing your resume, for it to look well organized, whether there's tons of information like on this one or a little bit less information. It's about consistency to help your resume look very well organized. Something, I'm going to cross over real quick, something that I love here, and all the dates on the far, either right or left hand side, depends on your preference. But this person even has graduation date right over here, and then their dates for every employer on the same side of the paper. Again, it's about consistency. You don't want to have your graduation date here and then all the rest of your dates over here. Again, this looks a lot more organized. This person has a lot of information, so what they did is they put their name, and instead of putting their mailing address, phone number, email right below it, they use one line to put all that information to save them some space. Comments, questions? Go ahead, Scott.
Do you like to have GPA on the resumes?
That's a great question. So it depends. I would like to see GPAs. Now, some students, if they have a lower GPA, they might feel a little uncomfortable putting it on there. Now, so two things with that. Given your research, once you're researching the company that you're applying for, and you see that you don't meet their GPA requirement, then you know you're going to meet them at the career fair. You might not want to put it on the resume. Approach the employer. Share your story as to why you don't have the GPA that they need, but what makes you such a great candidate to work for their company. This is where the elevator pitch comes into play, your research, right? So you know what, you can let them know, I had a rough start to my education. I had 2 jobs, 3 jobs. This is all I've learned and why you should hire me, why I'm such a great candidate for your role. Now, if you have a 3.6 and the requirement is 3.0, and it's not on there, and you still apply or you meet with them and we don't see it, and you never address it because, hey, I meet their GPA requirements. Every thinking doesn't, hey, that's what's not on there. And they never addressed it. So typically when I say, if you meet the requirement, boom, put it on your GPA because they know immediately that you're a good candidate. Most employers will ask for you for applying. They will ask. I ask all the time. And I meet a lot of reasons. I might have, and it was not on the resume. But I asked, I didn't know. And I said, hey, you mind me asking, what's your GPA? When she told me, I'm like, oh my gosh, why don't you have it on your resume? That's fantastic. So to answer your question, do your research, find out if yes or no. If you have GPA that you feel very, put on your resume. That would make it look really nice. This person has GPA 3.6, slash 4.0 or 4.0. Get rid of it. It's over 4.0. Good question. I'm going to address some dates. Oftentimes people say Arizona State University from 2013 to present. Okay, as a recruiter, if I don't meet you in person and we don't have a conversation and you just apply online, get your resume somehow, I'm going to wonder when your graduation date is because we have so many different programs and I'm not going to be aware of or sure where to place you. Internship, I can do my math. I'm thinking, okay, 2013, maybe 4 years, 2017. Is that May? Is that December? Is that summer? So I don't know where to place you. So if you have an idea, it's okay to write the month, May, December, July, 2017, 2016. That gives the recruiter an immediate idea, oh, internship, oh, this program, oh, this other program. Let's put them through that pipeline. So if you are unsure a little bit, you can say expected graduation date and then May 2015, whatever that graduation date is. Questions about this? Anything else? Got anything I forgot to mention? Okay, awesome. So you're getting ready for the career fair, which is on Monday. You are going to work on your resume or you already have it finished. I will share something with you. Make sure you share your resume with somebody you trust, career services, advisors, anybody who works in the department, because you might get a typo in there, or you might not have a typo, but you might have used a different word that you're not meant to write in there. You might have forgotten a period, you name it. Because let's be honest, you're college students, probably 2 a.m. in the morning before the career fair, you're typing out your resume, you're printing many copies, you're tired, your eyes are tired. You're staring at a computer for almost a whole day. So you might have, I'll give you an example. Somebody put as an objective line, they said, looking for a part-time position. And I'm like, oh my gosh, where do I apply? I want to go work at that company as well. It was not misspelled. Party was boom, on dot. But what did the person meant to say? Part-time. Part-time. But they didn't catch it because they were tired. Okay, another example, and this is a real life examples. Vanguard doesn't require cover letters. The student went above and beyond to give me a cover letter and a resume, and I was like, awesome. So typically, because we're so busy, I'll be honest with you, we don't always read all the cover letters. We don't require them. But if you come to me, I will read it. So this person comes to the booth. I got the cover letter, and I start reading the cover letter. The first paragraph, it's perfect. It's addressed to Vanguard. Literally from one paragraph to the next, to my competitor, completely. Like different company, everything. I'm just like, oh my gosh, did I miss something? It's in my eyes. What's going on? Clearly, the student didn't mean to do that, of course, but they were tired. They copy pasted, and we all do that. Hey, you're applying for multiple jobs. You want a job. You want an internship. But this person copy pasted to the wrong document. So, sad to say, I wasn't highly impressed with that cover letter. So make sure that those, I call those careless mistakes, that you don't have those, and that makes you, because a careless mistake can cost you the job, you guys. So make sure that you're getting ready 2 days in advance. A day in advance, at least if you like, but make sure you're not spending, the last hours in the morning, like 3 a.m., finishing up a document because you may get something like that on there. Okay? Give it to somebody else, a fresh pair of eyes. Have them read it for you. And they'll say, hey, did you mean to say that? You're like, oh my gosh, no, it's part-time, or something along those lines. Yes.
Well, if a student has so much content, a lot of content, do you think a 2-page resume is okay? Do you prefer that it always stays on 1 page?
Good question. Typically, we prefer 1 page, and I'll show you why. Actually, I think that's an awesome transition into what I'm going to share next. And I'll address that fully, but I saw a hand go up. Did anybody?
It was the same question.
Oh, the same question. Okay.
I stole it from you. It would have been much better for me.
It's a good question. It's a good question to bring up. Okay. Well, actually, before I do that, let me ask you this. What is the number 1 thing you should do before attending a career fair? Research. I love this. Okay. So, research the companies and positions. Okay, I thought this was you will think this was really common sense. I cannot tell you how many times this season, and again, I oversee about 14 schools. So I go to multiple. This semester alone, I met so many students who did not have a resume, or, oh, sorry, I only had 2 copies. Again, that can cost a job because we don't have a resume. We don't know if you're interested or not, and we won't have you in our system. Practice your elevator pitch, or all of the above. What's the answer? What's that? All of the above. Absolutely. You want to make sure that all of the, we'll talk about all of these in just a minute. Is to make sure what it does. Okay, this is one of my favorite slides in this presentation. So this is a slide. This was a heat map, I think that's what they're called. And this is a study between multiple recruiters. My team was not part of this, but we got access to the information. And they were tracking the recruiters' eyes to see where they focus. Where are they focusing, you guys? Now, this is a 2-page resume, as you can see. I'm sorry, I interrupted somebody. Yes?
The titles.
The titles, yeah. So you see here, they start. Notice at the very top, they're kind of going over the information, right? So they want to know who you are and where you're from. And then they have, they're reading. They find some awesome spots of where they're really focusing on. And then boom, there's a paragraph. And we was like, I'm not going to read a paragraph. Nope, I'm too busy. I'm too lazy to read that. We're not lazy. We just have hundreds of these, so we can't read paragraphs. They go to the next page. They're doing the same. They find interesting topics. And then they really hone on there. We can't say it's far, it's education. It's your education piece. So when I tell, especially for undergrad students, and you're still a student, typically your education piece should be at the very top. This whole time they're reading and they're not ignoring anything except for this minute. But over here, they want to know, hey, where are you going to school? What's your major? What's your GPA? They want to get to know you as a candidate. So when we talk about 2 pages and you're an undergrad student and you have tons of information or experience, volunteering experience, you name it, it's harder for you to put, I guess, everything into one piece of paper, like a little top. What do you do? Especially if you know the recruiter is looking for a 1-page resume. You typically do your research and you'll find out what's really impactful that it's going to speak to what they're looking for. Volunteering experience is a big one. I get students who say, I'm part of this organization and I've done all this activity, like volunteering almost every weekend. I can all put all this into 1 page. So what do I do? Well then, based on what the company is looking for, what kind of initiatives do they have when they come volunteer, right? So what do they do in the community? Do they volunteer? And if they do, again, what kind of projects do they engage in? And then based on what you find out online, then tailor your resume to where you think it's going to speak the most to them. Also, where were you the most impactful? Where did you take food bank? But I led a team of 15 students. I organized the event. I did this. Then put that on your resume, because when it's time to interview, you can highlight that, hey, I took ownership. I took leadership of this. I made this happen. Let me tell you how I did this happen. Versus you just go and kind of volunteer, right? If you had to choose between one of the two, you probably do the one where you really took an active role. So again, this all goes back to your research. Thank you. Back to your research. Make sure you tailor that, because most employers will page resume. As you progress in your career, you do a master's degree, you pursue a doctorate degree, PhD, that may change, you guys. It's kind of impossible to put all your information into 1 page. But as an undergrad student, typically most employers will want 1 page. And to your advantage, it's only a few seconds we spend on resumes. We browse through those papers quickly. So if you have 2 pages, 3 pages, that's going to minimize the time, the attention the recruiter is going to give to your document. You don't want to do that. You want to make sure it stands out, and they can ask you questions about your experience. Yes.
So if you're doing your research on the career fair and say there's 3 companies that you're interested in, but they're kind of really different. So then do you make 3 different resumes?
I know. It's a lot of work.
Okay.
Yeah, how many of you guys have a resume where you're like, boom, I think I'm good. I'm ready. Okay. On average, how many hours have you spent on your document? What would you say?
Well, I don't know. I first composed it a few years ago, and I've just kind of been updating it regularly.
Good for you. Yeah. So if you could give me a number, just throw a number out there. Would it be 5, 6, 10 hours?
I guess 5.
Yeah. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And the biggest thing is, you will feel that you have your document good to go. You may give it to somebody, to me, to Scott, to whomever, and they'll say, oh, you should probably change this. You're always going to get that feedback. So again, be flexible with that. Make sure, especially if the recruiter's telling you to do something, go home and change it. It's a full-time job before getting the job itself. It's a lot of work that goes into it, but we all do it. We all have to do it.
It's a work in progress, right?
It's a work in progress all the time. Absolutely. Yes.
So, and I know we've talked about this, but coming from a financial investment firm and talking to humanities majors, sometimes students will see a little bit of a disconnect and they don't realize where the connections can be. Can you maybe give them an idea of the kinds of skills you would typically look for that would apply to them?
Oh, absolutely. Great question. Thank you for asking. So at Vanguard, we're kind of a different company. We hire all majors. In fact, I have a finance degree myself. My peers, one is family studies, and the other one right now is, I think, communications. It's totally diverse. So different, right? But we need that balance in our team. So to your point, to answer your question, we look for a soft skill set. We're not looking for you to know finance. We want it. We do want it, but we're not saying if you don't have it, boom, we can't hire you. No, that's not the case. We say, do you have customer service skills? Do you have problem-solving skills, critical thinking, communication skills, time management, coordination, event planning, whatever that may be. If you have that soft skill set, we need you on our team. We want to hire you. What we'll do is we'll train you into the financial investments industry, if you will. We do want to make sure that you're interested, of course. Let's say you were coming to Vanguard and you say, I have this degree, but I'm interested in financial services because you tell me your story. Then we're interested, because if you're not, and we try to teach you finance, you're not going to like it and you're going to find it very boring, right? But if you do, we just hired a theater major. This person wanted that. I just interviewed a political science major, and this person's moving on to the next step. So again, it's about just your interest and bringing that soft skill set to us. If you can communicate effectively, we need communication majors. They want to communicate verbally, when you're writing a note, emailing, whatever that may be, we need that soft skill set. Most employers need that as well. A lot of employers look for all majors because of the same reason. We want a diverse, we want a different experience, background. I'm very analytical. My job requires me to be creative, so I need my peers to help me with that because I'm all about numbers. I can't do my job just by myself. So we bring that skills and make sure you highlight that on your resume. I led, leadership, time management, project management, all of those things, make sure it's there on your resume because most employers look for that type of skill set. Great question. Does that help you guys understand how, you have such an amazing skill set that almost every employer wants and is looking for and needs, quite honestly. Okay, anything else before I move on to my next slide? Okay. So we talked about what to bring to the career fair. Professional portfolio or notebook to take notes. That is so key. If you're missing that, I'll be honest with you, this morning, first of all, I was rushing. I had a meeting before this, but I don't need this with me right now. I really don't. All I needed was a thumb drive, of course, my purse and the materials. And I'm leaving my car and I'm like, oh, my portfolio. Because you just never know. I need to take notes maybe. I have business cards, whatever's in here. I might need this. And it makes me look official, right? If I'm walking around with this, it makes me look like I'm in business. So when you're coming to a career fair, if you have, now this can get pricey. I know, this can get bring a folder. Something that is just a solid color, doesn't have logos or pictures everywhere, something that looks very clean and professional. Put your copies of your resumes in there and bring it in because you look organized, you look professional. That makes you look very well ready for business, that you mean that business. Pens, and typically at the career fairs, they'll give you bags, right? Because every employer is giving you like 1,000 things. And so typically you get a little bag and you put stuff in there, but make sure you have something to take notes with. If you don't stop by Vanguard, we'll always have pens. We always have pens. You need that. Okay, we talked about this at the beginning. This is really important. So let's say the night before the fair, hopefully not the night, hopefully a few days in advance. You're ready, to your point earlier, you saw three companies that are coming, you're like, I think I really want to work for them. So yes, you're gonna tailor your resume a little bit differently for each of them. Not too much, they should not be too, it's an official document, it shouldn't be too much of work there. But you wanna have those copies for them tailored in your resume, organized. You have your plan of attack, like I'm gonna stop here first, and then maybe here, if it's too busy, then change your route a little bit. But then just have extra copies of that resume. Because you never know. You might stop at the Vanguard booth and we're talking to you and we like what we see and we might offer you an interview for the next day. But if you didn't have that extra copy of a resume, we wouldn't know. We would because I need to see your resume. We wouldn't offer you an interview. We wouldn't per se follow up with you. So make sure you have multiple copies of your resume for that. Okay, so this is when you're getting ready, the 3 days in advance. Maybe starting on Thursday, you start getting ready. Okay, we talked about this already. It says top 5 companies that you might be interested in. It's up to you. Maybe 3, it might be 5, maybe 6. You name that. You put that number on that tip, but make sure you customize your resumes for that employer. You see people taking notes, so I'll wait a little bit. Okay. All right. First impressions, right? So I walked in this morning before introducing myself, they were looking at me like, who is she? Or what, is she the presenter? You're kind of making ideas in your head, like, who is she? Is she the person going to speak? I come up here, I present myself, I made a first impression. Hopefully it was a good one, and hopefully I'm not boring you here today. But what impression are you going to make at the fair? Of course, we know the eye contact piece, the handshake, right? Have you guys ever shaken anybody's hands that's kind of just like this? What do you call it, the death wish or something? How do you feel about that? So weird.
Non-committal, or at least uninterested, where it's just automatic.
Yeah, you're kind of like, you're like, oh my gosh, like, let me grab your hand.
Feels like the other person doesn't have enough confidence.
Ooh, I like that. Maybe you're wondering, is that lack of confidence? What's going on? Actually, yeah, you kind of think that a little
I've
bit.
seen employers actually do that at career fairs where they're just.
Oh my gosh. Give them feedback. No, I'm just kidding. Hopefully they're not. Hopefully you're grabbing, you're doing a nice firm handshake. You want to do that. I've had, on the other hand, students who really like and do this to me for a while. You're like, okay, I get it. You're confident. Awesome. Eye contact is another one. To your point, confidence level, it's really important. Before I move on to the next point, when we talk about research, it goes beyond just knowing who the CEO is and what position they might be hiring for. It goes beyond those basic knowledge, what I like to call. If you know what you're talking about, you're going to be pretty confident, even approaching the booth. So when we talk about research, we're also sharing that because we want you to be confident and not worry about that when you're walking up to the booth. Okay, same thing for the interview. If you've prepared yourself well, you want to leave kind of the basic stuff not to bother you. Like, oh my gosh, who's the CEO? Where are they located? That stuff, hopefully you've done enough research to kind of know that by heart. Focus on the important stuff. So worrying about how am I going to shake or what am I going to do, that shouldn't. Be confident, know what you're talking about, do a firm handshake, make it quick and concise, your elevator pitch, and be confident. We can see that. We can see that. If I was kind of here like a little shy, I'm not shy as you can probably tell, right?
No, you're not.
But it's taking me 3 years to get here, right? So it's what do you do to prepare yourself to make sure that it's not awkward and make sure that they can see that you're very confident. It's about practicing. So even if you're not looking for a job just yet, come on Monday. Come meet with employers because you might make a mistake, and it's fine because you don't have a job on the line. But it will help you practice and get you better for the next time. I'm going to share with you a personal experience when we get there about my mistake, my first fair. Yes.
I was just wondering, so if you're going and you're meeting, I'm not actually, I'm just here to practice. Well, isn't that kind of like we kind of don't have anything to talk about then?
No, not at all. So let's say Vanguard. We don't hire freshmen and sophomores because we don't have jobs for you just yet. But I love speaking with freshmen and sophomores. Why? Because we do have another program where we can have you come into our office and get to know Vanguard. So when people come in and they tell me, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a freshman, I'll be graduating in May 2018, this is my major. I don't have much experience just yet. For example, I'm just making this up. Here's my resume. I thought I would just stop by to get to know you now, so when the time comes, I can be fully prepared for you. Oh my gosh, I want to be like, let's talk. What on file for any upcoming opportunities. It makes such an impression. As 2 stories. So I went to another school, and a student who looked very well dressed, and he had a name tag for another company, like what I'm wearing now. I was setting up, and he comes by and says, "Oh, you changed the colors." He taps me to his, "You changed the colors of your tablecloth." So first I'm like, well, how does he know? I'm like, oh, he might work at this company. He's seen us at other fairs. I'm like, yeah, we did. What do you think? He's like, oh, it's like a teal, and we're more about maroon. So he said, I think maroon, it's kind of the Vanguard color. I'm like, you know what? I think you're right. It's like, yeah, so I've been here since I was a freshman with you guys. And I'm like, oh, you're not, oh, no. I think he was there. I don't know what he And let's assume this is your top 5 companies, right? So you do your research. It's a lot of information to remember the night before, so hopefully, again, you're doing it at least 3 days in advance. And it's okay, once you're finished with one, step aside, review your notes, and get those facts ready for your next employer. It's okay to cheat like that, it's fine. So say, hey, you know, I visited your website a few weeks ago, and I saw that this, and that. Or I met with this person at the humanities fair, Eunice, and she shared this about Vanguard. I was wondering if you can tell me more about that. Oh, okay. So you have some facts, some questions maybe about those facts. You can address some of that. I'm interested in this. So I saw this position online. I'm interested because I saw this, that you are customer focused, that you hire for soft skill set. My skill set is I have a very strong work ethic, or really I'm really client focused. According to my resume, if you like a copy, I worked at these places and I've honed on that skill set. Oh my gosh, it's a different approach to the booth because it's kind of a little awkward versus you start with like Vanguard. So what do you do again? We get that a lot, you guys. A lot. It's
Is that a disqualifier?
It's not a disqualifier, but remember the guy up at the table? I can still tell you his name. He's probably like, oh my gosh. It makes somebody else who is prepared really stand out. Yeah, and if we're gonna do interviews the next day, you're probably gonna be on my interview list versus a person who like, who are you? Most of the time, we will probably not interview that person on the spot, or maybe not my top pick. Depends. So Vanguard, we're hiring quite a lot today, so we have more room for those type of approach, which is fine. But for the most part, it will probably disqualify from the position because you don't know who we are. You're probably not interested. You do your research, 2 3 days in advance, and you do research us, so you might not be interested in us, and that's fine. So if you approach the table, the booth that way, I can guarantee you're going to stand out from the majority of the students. Unfortunately, a lot of students don't put this effort before the fair. And it's not because they don't want to, it's lack of knowledge. So kudos to you guys for being here. You want to tap yourselves in the back, You guys are doing good. It shows that you're interested in maybe preparing yourselves for Monday. But those are some of the things, some of the things that you definitely want to address in your elevator pitch. I kind of went lengthy right now because I'm making it as I go. And if you make things as you go, you will go over the time limit. So write it down, practice it, time yourself, and it should be it's going to be a full, solid introduction. Shake their hand firmly, and then let the recruiter talk. They'll answer your questions. Yeah.
I guess isn't there also the issue of like sounding like kind of like automated when you give your speech, because that kind of sounds more off-putting than if it sounds organic and personal.
Thank you. Yes. So you're going to practice. You're going to probably memorize this. Make it conversational. Do not sound robotic. Do not sound like that because we can see, that's a great point you bring up. You can sound that way. Organic, it's nice. If you have trouble speaking, you're nervous, you're meeting with employers, you're kind of nervous about that, then memorize it, but practice it where it sounds very like you're just speaking it up as you go. Great point. Thank you. Yes.
I was going to say, just be yourself, but stick with that also, and just practice and be yourself. Because I will not go to a booth unless I have interest and I'm prepared.
Yeah.
Because that's awkward. But a lot of students, they really don't know what they want, or they're just not. They're not ready at the time. It's fine.
And this is when you go, if you have more time, this is when you go and find out what's out there, what employers, what are they looking for, what majors, what jobs are available. And that's totally fine. If you don't, honestly, if you stop by Vanguard and you don't know who we are, but you make a really solid intro, I'm going to share with you a little more information, right? But hopefully you've known something. Oh, Vanguard, I know you guys are a huge company in the Valley, asset management, but tell me more about your internships or full-time positions. And that's a very different approach, which is, what do you do again? That happens. I'm being serious. Like, they look at my table, they look at Vanguard, they look at me like, what do you do? So make sure you have some type of knowledge.
What is your name again? No.
Eunice. Yeah.
No, I know your name. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah. Okay, gotcha. What we want to do is, thank you for that point. You want to be yourself. You want to laugh a little. No, we're not laugh. Smile. I should probably say smile, because then you laugh and you're going to be like, what's going on? But smile, be yourself, especially during an interview, because they also want to get to know your personality, right? How do you fit with us, and how does that look like? So be yourself a little bit. Don't throw jokes. No, because jokes tend to be, it depends, don't do that. Just be on the safe side. Be very professional. There's another bullet point that I want to bring up here. When we talked about this, this is what our booth looks like. So again, okay. Remember I told you about my personal experience? So first fair, right? I think I'm a sophomore. I didn't go my freshman year. I should have, but I didn't. I'm still not looking for anything serious, but I look back and I'm like, I wonder what those people thought about me. So approach the both of them. So my friend and I were like, okay, we're gonna go to the career fair. Yeah, dressed up. Okay, fine. We go together, you guys. I'm with my friend. We're walking together. Thank you. Like, what are employers thinking, right? So first of all, as soon as we walked in, she wants to go to this one, then I want to go to this one. And I'm like, oh, well, kind of like, okay. She's like, okay, I'll go with you. I'll go. I'm like, okay. So I approach the booth. She's standing over here looking at me and the employer. I'm nervous. I'm like, what is she doing? And I'm talking, and probably the employer is saying also, like, what's going on? Are you not confident enough to approach the booth on your own? Or do you have to hold someone's hand? Not per se, but where do you have to be with someone to go to the booth? I walked away almost instantly and said, you know what, I think we need to split. You go to your employers, I'll go to mine, let's meet afterwards, and then we'll connect. Don't go with anybody else. It makes it very uncomfortable for you, for the employer, and your friend, because you're kind of also wasting time. She was wasting time waiting for her. She could have been making connections somewhere else. So it's really important because it shows a lot of that confidence that comes in there as well. Okay. Again, some things are common sense, but people do these mistakes, including me. I did it. So we talked about introductions. Hopefully you'll go home tonight and start working your elevator speech there. That one takes you so far. It really does. It can open doors where there are even some maybe closed or something. It can take you really, really far. Take notes, especially during the interview. I know this is about the career fair, but a lot of this translates over to interviews. We did interviews not too long ago, and this student did an okay interview, and I was kind of like, I'm not sure, we'll see. But then I came to like his time. It was like, do you have any questions for us? And the answer was, no, I'm okay. So that was my deciding factor, right? Was there interest? I don't know. So maybe we don't move on forward. Then I had another student. He took his portfolio, something that looked very professional, right here, very professional. And when it was time for him to ask questions, he opened it up, he flipped the page, and he had his 3 questions written down. I love that. And I answered the questions, and he took some few notes. Wow, what is that telling me? This guy is really interested. This guy cares about what I'm sharing. He's not just playing the role, he's really interested. It looked very organized, very professional. So guess what? He's moving on to the next round. And that was part of the notes. When I wrote my feedback, it was like very professional, well organized, very interested, things that will help them stand out through the process. Okay, now.
I have a quick question.
Yes. Go ahead.
Quick question on questions.
Okay, good.
So often we hear at the university or in a classroom, there are no bad questions.
Mm-hmm.
During an interview, are there certain questions or certain topics that are better than others?
Yes, thank you. So there are no bad questions, but try to remain professional. I mean, that's key, I would say, especially in that type of environment, because they could be some bad questions. Some people will get personal questions, and you don't want to ask that for sure. And again, I'm just throwing that out there because it's happened before. But to your question, yes, there are better topics than others. You want to talk about the company as well. You want to make sure that you are interested in them, right? So when you like something, you go and you do more research about it because you care. So same thing, when you're interviewing, well, you're highly interested and you're asking questions about the topic, in this case, the company, the program, the training, right? Tell me more about this. Now, I'll be very careful. This research goes all the way into your type of questions you're asking. So we've had students who come up and will ask questions about something that's available online. Okay, so for us, we need a Series 7 and Series 63. Okay, we tell you that on the website. If we talk, then I'll go more into detail. Well, Vanguard helps you. They pay you for the time. They train you. They give you time at work. I give you those details. This person hadn't met us on campus, but his question was, what kind of licenses do I need? ooh, I'm like, oh, what kind of research did you do? Because that's on our website, like everywhere. So how would you ask that question differently? What he wanted to know was the licenses and learn more. How would you ask that differently? Anyone? Yes.
Is there anything outside of the licenses necessary to be in the position?
I like that. Isn't that good? So it tells me that you know that, hey, there are some licenses that I need. Is there anything else that I needed to go into that? And the recruiter will then just open up, information for you. But yeah, that's a great way to address it. Hey, I saw on the website that you require Series 7 and 63. Can you tell me more about the programs or the training to obtain those? And is there anything else in addition to that? Oh, okay. Now you told me you know this information because you did research, you met with someone, they told you. We just want additional information. So yes, to your point, some of those really basic questions that it's available to you easily just by going on the website, stay away from those or elaborate on those so that they're really strong questions, right? Tell me more about the training program. I saw this about Vanguard on the news. Can you tell me more? What are the long-term or short-term goals for Vanguard for 2015? We're kind of starting. Those show a lot of that interest in you trying to find out more. It's okay to ask questions when it comes to you. So you want to learn, you want to grow within the organization, but don't tailor all questions just about you, because a lot of times we see like it's just you. Well, what about the company? What do you bring to the table? It's okay to ask about the interviewer's, experience or career path within the organization. I think that's a pretty good question because we want to learn the career path and see where where they've been over the years and what they've done. But yes, there's better topics than others, absolutely. Any questions about that? That's a tough one because you have to think in advance for your questions. And I always tell students, make sure you have between 3 to 5 questions prepared in advance because it's very likely that some of those questions that you already have written down will be answered throughout the interview. And you don't want to get to the end of the interview like, oh, I don't have questions. So make sure you have some backup questions. And remember I told you before, don't let the little things get in the way to make you nervous. That's another one. Don't have to memorize those questions. Write them down. It will alleviate your nerves, and you can focus on the important stuff. You can just glance over your document, read the question, and have a discussion. Don't worry about that. Make things easier for you guys. Yes.
So if you're in an interview and obviously besides the interview, you're learning more about you, you're also learning more about the company and more about the position and everything related to it. Would it be seen as like unprofessional if like you have your portfolio and you're like writing notes during the interview or?
So when they're asking you questions and then you're taking notes, is that what you're?
Well, just in the interview in general.
No, it's not. I mean, for the most part, you won't have a lot of time because you're answering questions. If you do that all the time, I mean, it's okay to make a quick note. Like, so you're answering a question, you don't want to forget something, make a quick note, that's fine. But if you're doing that throughout the whole interview, it's kind of like, what's going on? We're talking. It's very likely, and when I interview, I tell people, I apologize in advance because I'm not going to be making eye contact 100% of the time because I'm going to be taking a lot of notes. And I do most, but I will look at you and acknowledge, what you're saying. At the end, when it's your time now to ask questions, by all means, take notes. I love seeing that. I love, because it shows a lot of interest, and that information can help you with your follow-up, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Good question. And don't do it all, just don't look down the whole time, and make sure you look up and you acknowledge and nod, It's a conversation, Yes.
That actually raises a second question I just thought of right now. When you're making eye contact with them, I guess, is there how do you balance between if you're 100% just making direct eye contact versus looking off to the sides? Because I don't know, it seems like employers might feel kind of weird if you're just constantly looking at them.
Yes, I've had that before too.
Stare down.
Yeah, stare down basically.
Kind of like, oh my gosh, look down for just a second.
But then you don't want to be constantly
wandering.
Yeah, wandering.
You just did it right now. You weren't even thinking about it.
Well, I mean, I was doing that to demonstrate.
No, but your eye contact right now between it was perfect. You just did it because you weren't focused on that. So why? Because we were discussing something. We were having a conversation, and you're not nervous, and I'm not nervous. So you did, your eye contact was perfect because you weren't focusing on that. So remember talking about research? You see how everything ties back to research? You know what you're talking about. You had a good question. So don't focus on that. Just have a conversation. And when you're confident, you're just going to have a conversation. On an interview, you're nervous, so you tend to focus on the little things, right? So I'm moving my hands too much. Am I staring at him or her? You know, no, it's okay. Have a conversation. Look to the side sometimes, or getting your thoughts, you know, in order. Come back and look at the person very organically. If you struggle with that though, because you're really nervous, or somebody, you know, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to stare at them. You probably will feel when you're just staring for a while, and you probably, that's what, if you feel it, then look a different way, and then come back to them and do that. Another thing is, sometimes people like to carry something, right? Because that's where you kind of releasing your stress. Be careful with that, because your hand position right now is perfect when you have that. Because I've had this, or I had that, yeah, I can't do it with this pen, but what you're doing, and it will be distracting to me as an employer. Will be okay, relax. It's an interview, that's all. And you're gonna have interviewers who are gonna be very open and laid back and just have a normal conversation. It's gonna make you feel at ease, hopefully, and that's great. But your professionalism level should not drop. Okay, that's another thing. Oftentimes you get too comfortable. Students will get too comfortable, and believe it or not, we've had people curse in the middle of an interview.
Really?
Yes, and it's kind of like, really, exactly. That's the reaction we've had it. I'm sharing these things because this has happened in the past. So even if you're really relaxed and the person made you feel at ease, your professionalism should remain the same. It doesn't drop. You're just more comfortable. You can have a better conversation, but your professionalism level is still up here. So don't drop that. If it's another one makes you feel very intimidated and very nervous, remain up here. Make yourself know that, hey, I know my information, cool, collected. I'm still going to portray that smile still. I had an interview internally, and I now joke around with her and I say, you made me very nervous. And I wasn't sure if I was getting through you or not, because, you know, her face was just very, and I don't know, she's a great person. I don't know why typically don't do that. But anyway, so in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, am I making sense? And am I answering her questions? What do I do? And I would still smile quite a bit because it made me feel at ease a little bit more. So maintain your personality, make sure it's you, and your professionalism doesn't drop. Good question. What else, you guys? I think I'm almost finished here with this. I want to make sure I ask. Scott, anything that I'm forgetting? No? Okay.
You got it.
All right. Awesome. Well, now conclusion and next
I've learned
steps. Oh,
So there you
good. I learn every time. I do. I love learning. So this is something, especially nowadays with all these technologies, like, do I type an email? Do I send a handwritten note? What do I do? And I would say it's your preference level. I mean, it's whatever you feel comfortable with. You will get that vibe from that person, right? If you're interviewing for this high-tech company, you're probably going to send an email because they're moving rather quickly, right? I mean, everything's so tech. If it's a smaller company and they have a few openings, you might want to write down a note. Hopefully, it's eligible. That's another thing. Make sure you can either email it or give it to somebody who can help you do that. So it depends. You'll get a feel for that. Make sure that every time after the fair that you approach someone, or after an interview, you ask for a business card. That's a big thing. So make sure you write that on a note somewhere, whether on your portfolio or ever. Yes, ask for a business card. If they don't have one, they'll give you a way for you to contact them. You know, email so and so. They'll give you my email address, or here you go. Here's my business card. For many reasons, but one of them is to follow up, of course. And then you can just follow up, especially if you're meeting at the career fair. You know, you don't have to email everyone. Like, oh my gosh, it was great meeting you. No, you might want to email the people that you're really interested in. Make it brief, you guys. We get so many emails from students. Think about me, 14 schools, right? Imagine if every student emails me. Oh my gosh. Now, and some students can get pretty lengthy. And I don't need to have a whole recap of our conversation. You know, hi, it was great meeting you at this career fair. It's nice because you help the person or remember you, excuse me. And we talked about this, and as I mentioned earlier, I'm really interested because I have a skill set. I feel like it's perfectly fine with the company or something. You know, brief, concise, to the point. They might reply to you, they might not. It depends on the person. Some people do, some people don't. If you don't have, or you can let them know as well, I'm already applied online, I submitted my application, just wanted to provide you with an update. That's fine. You don't have to email every other day, you know, give it the first email, maybe 2 weeks later if you haven't heard back from them, then follow up. But don't do it every other day. Again, we've had things happen. Typically, you can ask them at the fair, hey, do you prefer an email or a phone call to follow up? If they'll let you know. Most people will say email because, again, recruiters are highly busy and they'll get back to you when the time is appropriate versus a phone call. And if the student gets lengthy in the conversation, that could be a 30-minute conversation that did not need to be taking place. So make sure you're aware of their time, your time as well. Make sure you're concise to the point and very professional as well. Questions about this one in particular, because this one can get tricky. This is kind of the fun one. Yes.
If you're really interested in a company, I know that like professional people are really busy. So like, how many times would it like be good to like email them like, hey, I emailed like 2-3 emails, maybe like max if they don't get back?
I would say 2.
2.
Yeah, you do the first one, you follow up. If you don't hear back, again, they're professional, so I mean, they're busy. So there's something going on, sometimes internally, we just forward the application or the email, hey, met this person again, just wanted to put in a order for this person. If you don't hear back, maybe, hey, just wanted to catch up with you, I haven't heard back from the company. If you haven't heard from anyone at, say, Vanguard, I want to follow up with you, I haven't heard anything, I submitted my application, just wanted to see how you were doing. If you have any updates for me, please feel free to share.
Okay.
If you don't hear again, it's probably good. Have to move on. If you're highly, highly interested, then go for the third email, and there's still no response, then that should stop.
Okay.
So people say, do I show up to their office? No, don't show up to their office. No, don't do that.
Just slightly creeperish.
Yeah, just slightly. And if you were to come to Vanguard, you can't even go in because we have to internally submit your name for them to allow you. So again, no, don't do that. But I would say 2 emails, you should probably hear back from them. If you do hear back and you email the first time, you don't hear back from that person, but you hear back from the company, I would say it depends on your relationship. You can follow back, hey, thank you so much for sharing more information. I heard back from this person. I'm moving on to the next step. Well, unfortunately, it didn't work out, but I appreciate your help. Good question. Yes.
Okay, I feel the first time is very important. It shows that you're still interested.
Yes.
And 99% of the time, the company will get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from my experience, they usually
They
are good at that.
Yeah, they do. What's a good turnaround frame, would you say, for you? What's the time frame that you've heard back in general?
I say between 2 and 3 weeks, because they have a lot of interviews,
Yeah.
and it's a long process too.
Yeah. Yeah, so I know it's kind of that point where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just waiting and it feels forever. But typically 2 or 3 weeks is still a standard for you to wait. If you don't hear it, then you follow with a second round typically. Yeah. Anything else? Let's see what we're looking here. Yeah, like I said, it's ask. You can ask when or how. That's totally fine. I always like it when students, especially if we had a really good conversation and they follow up and they say, I submitted my application, because that's me then going to the system, pull up their application, forward it to the recruiter. I love those updates because I can do that. Because there's literally thousands of applicants online, and students oftentimes feel like I'm just getting lost in that black hole, I don't know. So when you let the recruiter know, we have most recruiters do, the opportunity to pull it out and share with the recruiters, which is kind of nice. Helps you too through that process. So yes, the first email is very important. And again, not to every person that you meet, it's to those employers where you're highly interested in, of course. And if they do reply to you, respond within 24 hours. That's a good one. Shows interest, remember? We talked about that. This is a really important one. And I know I'm running out of time. Treat each call interaction with any employer at any time as if it was an interview. Briefly, last real life story that I'll share with you guys. We read on an article, this company, part of the interview process was flying out people into their office. So they had a driver go pick up the candidate from the airport, pick them up, drop them off, and then do the same thing, take them back. So part of the interview process is the student candidates didn't know, but it was when the recruiters will meet together to calibrate, they will bring in the driver and ask, how was the interaction? Were they polite to you? Did they say thank you? Were they just nice to you in general? That was part of the interview process. So again, treat every step. If you're parking, hey, be professional parking, like park for 30 minutes in the car, make sure you're ready to go. Put on your jacket. You don't have to wear your jacket. I wasn't wearing it on my way here, but I got down, put it quickly. But you never know who's looking at you. When you're parking that to your interviewer or to the CEO or to the owner, whomever that is, right? Be very professional. Make sure that you're good to go. You're not, hooking your nose or anything like that. Again, things happen, you guys. When you're walking to the building, confident. You're not on your phone and just kind of whatever. No, you're there. You're serious. You're already there to make that impression. And the receptionist. Make sure you're very courteous to them as well. Yes.
I was gonna say, since we're talking about so you can be seen at any time, they can be evaluating you at any time, even when you're parking your car. This might sound a little, maybe a little silly, but does the car that you're driving yourself, make a difference? If you're driving a 1999 beat up car, because if that's your car, you can't really change it out. Or at the best, you can probably borrow a car.
Hopefully not. Hopefully they're not judging on that. If they are, hopefully you don't want to work for that company. So that shouldn't matter. That's your means of transportation.
Right.
So if you're riding a bicycle or public transportation, is make sure that you get enough time to freshen up and you don't look sweaty or anything. So that should not matter. If your car is very dirty, you went somewhere and it's full of, bugs or dirt, maybe you want to wash it because, again, that's something that you can't control because hopefully your car, you borrowed from somebody. But those are things that you can control because, it shows your professionalism, attention to detail. Right? My car is very, very dirty. I want it to look nice right now. So when you're going on a date, right? Make the best impression you can. Your car's going to be clean. You're going to be looking really sharp. You're going to ask great questions. You're going to have a good conversation. You're just interviewing for your potential job or career.
Little things matter, though.
Little things matter. They really do matter.
Don't park in a handicap area or some place where you should not park. Exactly.
Yeah. I made a big mistake, and I'll tell you once we are off because this was at ASU this morning, so I don't want this on the website. But anything else? Yes, go ahead.
Well, I'm actually from Washington State, so I'll be going back home in the summer.
Okay.
So would it be okay to ask or do research on companies and say, hey, I've seen that you have offices in Seattle. Would that be how can you sort of navigate that?
Just the way you did right now. Especially you wanted to go back to Seattle, say you meet them here.
Mm-hmm.
I am from Seattle and I saw you have an office out there. Are there any opportunities out there where I can potentially relocate after graduation? If so, can you tell me more? Oh yeah, that shows again your research, your interest. That's a great question. Yes.
Yeah, I've often heard that it's preferred that when sending a thank you note, the employers prefer to get a handwritten letter instead of an email. Is that usually true?
It depends. Again, if you're working or you're interviewing with a company who's really high tech, you probably don't want to waste too much time and just send a quick email. And if you want to do that with everyone, just let them know, it would be a nice little gesture to get a nice handwritten note in the mail. You don't want to miss that opportunity. At Vanguard, it's not a deal breaker for lack of a better term, but it's nice when we get that. My out-of-state students, they always email me. And when I get back, I'm like, wow, they already sent me a thank you note. That's pretty. It's a nice feeling. So just kind of your own judgment, but also if you're gonna do a handwritten letter, make sure it's eligible, people can read it and it looks very nice and clean. No ink marks here and there, coffee marks. You know what I mean? Very professional and polished.
So you should probably resort to email if your handwriting's not typically that good.
Absolutely. I would encourage that. Yes, I would highly encourage that.
Could you potentially at least I guess this wouldn't be an issue for me just because my handwriting is pretty legible, but if your handwriting is really, 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 really so bad that you can't write legibly yourself, which I haven't seen that much of it, but regardless,
Mhm.
couldn't you get potentially someone else to write the note for you that's legible, but it's your message?
You can. I mean, again, this is where you get creative, so you can totally reach out to somebody else. If you're gonna do 3 notes, you may want to buy them a Coke or something, you know, kind of like thank you, because you're gonna spend some time. But email is always a good resource to just rely on, and it's fine. Before, again, it used to be like handwritten shows it. No, now emails should be fine. They would not see you like, oh my gosh, it's okay. It's nice, but I would totally say email is the best way to go.
In terms of thank you notes, from what I've learned from my career services and like different places, you want to get them the thank you note as soon as possible within like 1 or 2 business days after the interview. So for example, let's say I was applying to Vanguard and I wanted to send it to your guys' office or something, like how would, but if I wanted to do a handwritten note, how would I send that in such a way that it would get to you guys fast enough where it's like, by the time it gets there, they're like, oh wait, this happened?
Exactly, and that's where you have to kind of evaluate your options, because it can take, especially if you're meeting with an out-of-state recruiter, that may take a whole week to get there, whatever that may be. You also I don't even want to FedEx a letter and spend, I don't know, $20 on that. But, so I would probably, again, rely on email just because of that. It gets there quickly, immediately when you're writing, versus mailing, it takes a little longer. But it's nice. I'm not going to say it's not. But again, you have to, depending on your conversation, you'll be the best judge. And so I want to send it now. You're making the decisions now, so I need to send a note right now. Does that answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate everything. We do have a few shirts, so
Should we do a quiz question maybe?
let's do a quiz question.
Like, what about like the components of what are the components of a good elevator speech?
Your name, your major, your interests,
What else?
that you're interested in the company, and your name, your major, and the year you graduate or graduating.
There you go.
Awesome.
A little large?
I don't know, what size is that?
You know what? It's large.
There you go.
Yeah, looks good.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate your time today.
Oh my gosh, thank you for coming. I appreciate you guys coming out here. I'll stick around if you have any other questions or want another pin. But thank you for your time. Hopefully this was helpful, and I wish you guys all the best in all your endeavors when it comes to your careers. So I have business cards too if you want to follow up.
Sure.
Hint,
I learned a lot today. I'm glad I came.
Yeah, awesome.
And just
yes, I'm sorry.
just let those of you know, Vanguard is actually, we have an immersion day program. We have 4 immersion days throughout the semester where basically you spend a half a day with other students, about 35, 40 students at an organization, at their facility, learning about what it is they do, seeing what they do. Vanguard is part of that program on March 20th. There's 2 more left this semester, Vanguard and Target. So there's a few of these cards. I'll leave them up here. Awesome opportunity. Just go online to RSVP, and you can actually feel and see what it's like.
Great research opportunity. Just saying, you don't have to go to the website.
Yeah.